Welcome back to the Creative Hub episode. I don't know. We'll find out. You already know at this point. Welcome, Toby. We are going to be talking about stuff about marketing, probably. You guys already know if you're a marketer, content creator, or a lot of agents, anybody that wants to learn about their marketing, this is the podcast for you. So without further ado, Toby, thanks for coming on today.
Love it.
What made you decide to want to come? I mean, Caitlin probably called you up and was like, hey, you want to be on our podcast? And obviously she's crazy. So the fact that you wanted to come on, period, like I commend you for that.
I'm crazy about her.
Oh, I love this.
It's true though.
Yeah. Caitlin's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been working with you guys so much the past couple of weeks. And so it was just kind of a no-brainer. I wanted to come on the podcast and maybe we can talk a little bit with everybody else, all the things that we've been doing behind the scenes and how you guys operate.
Cool,
it is. It's
how
really
it all,
fun.
Like circled around and like very quickly
natural.
started working together.
Yeah.
Because it was only like a few months ago when I think I initially talked to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy it all circled around. Side note, Push and Pour, thank you for supplying
Fueling
the
us
drinks today.
Yes.
Yeah,
what
this
are we
is
all
really
having?
good actually. I got
have
the matcha.
Matcha, turmeric, ginger, delish.
Yes.
Oh.
I have
Oh.
the
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
SIE raspberry. It's SIE, not a Kai.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah,
Don't make
Kai
that mistake.
raspberry.
Yes.
Nice. So Push and Pour, thank you very much for this. Sponsor us, give us money. So
Oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah, guys. So we're super excited to have Toby. And like you said, we've all been hanging out the last couple of weeks. And I've known Toby for about, I think we've checked it back to about 7 years.
Yeah.
Feels like more.
Long time. It does.
Forever. And we have her bio here, which she wrote a while back, but I think it's really great. So she's
you know what to do, bio.
Yes. Fifth generation Idahoan, for everyone out there, so that you guys don't throw potatoes at you.
Fifth
correct?
generation.
Fifth generation.
Dang.
Yeah.
I
And now my
know.
son is sixth generation.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
But yeah, congratulations, by the way. And a little
Thanks.
babe.
That's crazy.
She also has a BS in psychology, which is awesome. You went to University of Idaho.
Yeah. Go Vandals.
Yay. All right.
Gotta
Oh, God,
plug
we
it.
just lost some followers.
I know. Sorry.
And
Hey, we're
no,
gonna
I'm
have to cut
kidding.
that part out.
Something I love, though, she says she is famous for her maple key lime pie. It's a hit at any potluck. So I feel like she has to make that for us now because if you're going to make that bold statement, we got to try it.
I will. I'll back it up.
Yeah.
It's a summer pie. And we're coming into the season where that's like the go-to.
Like that one. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
So she's actually really, really incredible on social media. She's a local influencer, investor, and just brilliant when it comes to basically the creative side of marketing. And we really want to pick her brain today. So
First of all, I want
Yeah.
to talk about like how this all kind of happened and how we're working together now at this
yeah,
point.
I think
do
you
that. Let's
should.
touch on it.
I think so. You guys known each other a lot longer than obviously I've known either of you. I think so. I'm kind of I'm the newbie to the group, but
Doesn't feel like it.
Toby, I think so. You reached out to me, right? And you were like, "Hey, I'm working with this brokerage, and we're looking to start doing some video work." And I said, "Okay, cool. Let's chat." I had so much going on at the time, and most people will come to me and be like, "Hey, we're looking for videos," and I'll go talk to them. Try to help as much as I can, and they were actually serious. I was like, "Oh, okay, let's talk."
Yeah.
Most people don't really know what they're doing, but they're like, "No, we know what we're doing, and we actually want to do this." And I said, "Okay, all right, let's talk about this." So we quickly started working together. Haven't officially done anything yet. Like we just started.
I was gonna say you guys just had your first like meeting though. Maybe touch on that.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Well,
we
yeah, our
did.
first
Yeah.
creative session
Which is
meeting.
sick.
Yeah,
Some
it was
plan-
pretty
some
cool.
planning meetings.
We got ideas down on paper really fast, and
Not
went out and
surprising.
shot them, and then probably be doing something this Tuesday. Ideally, as long as we can get that locked in.
Oh,
I'll tell you, man.
I'm gonna lock that in for
Yeah,
you.
I thank you so much, by
Yeah,
the way. Like
it's-
planning and logistics with so many different people
know,
and agents.
I know.
Grief, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be good stuff. So you reached out to me. We started working together pretty quickly, and I feel like at some point the three of us are gonna be doing stuff too. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
It's like we work together, but not officially
But not
yet.
officially
You know what I mean?
yet. I know.
I think officially soon. I feel like that's
Yes.
coming.
I also feel like when this
Yeah.
gets out, we might be. So we'll see.
I worked with a videography photography company in the past, and I think that's why I think I have a really good understanding of what you do, and that makes it easier for me to both pitch you to the powers that be, and also like be protective of your time and protective of your schedule. And I think
Tell you what, I appreciate that too.
I know.
You value it and you understand it, which
yeah.
Huge.
it makes things very efficient and flow a lot better, and just
Yes.
it works.
It
really
helps
well.
to have a liaison too sometimes to be like, no, he's not available. We're not doing this. We're doing this. Like,
Dude, I'll tell you what, having that, I was like, wow, this is so nice.
Boundaries.
Like, it's just
I
so
know.
quick and efficient. I'm like, this is great.
yeah, because I know how hard creatives work. I know, like, I've seen it firsthand, and I think people just generally tend to undervalue creative work. And
Why don't we segue into that? Why don't you talk about, and that's one of my questions of, let's talk about, hey, your experience, like what brings you into this to be able to go in and recognize like this is a creative who is obviously skilled and talented what he's doing. Let's talk about that.
Well, working in the past with another agency.
Yeah, for sure.
That was, a huge eye-opening learning experience for me, it was a lot of fun. And getting to see the creative side on a professional, really high level. Like it's so different. Like these are people that shoot documentaries. Like these are photographers that travel around the world. Like it's a whole different ballgame. And I knew Ridge was like in that same realm. So that's why I'm like, okay, we can't be messing around with this.
Similar realm.
With this guy's schedule.
Well, cool. And then, so we've obviously talked a little bit about what you do, but how would you say, like right now, and I know that you're obviously evolving, but if you were to talk to somebody right now, give a pitch or whatever, to explain what it is you do or who you are, even if it was just a brief, like, hey, I'm Toby.
Elevator pitch.
I know.
Even if it's like a brief thing of like,
it's
this
ever
is how
changing.
I do it.
That's why it's so hard to describe. I'm constantly moving in and out of different realms and different industry, but I guess I like creative work is always kind of a hub of what I do. Social media is probably the biggest thing that people know me for, like my influencer page, and then doing freelance and consulting kind of on the side, which I don't want to do anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm like, Cait can do that now.
I love it.
Yeah. And then now recently I'm working for a brokerage full time doing their social media and kind of managing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just like a weekly thing. So it's like, what's this week's elevator pitch?
Yeah.
What are you doing this week?
I know that's how it is, but I think that's how it should be. Like we're, always doing different things, and every industry that I dip my toe in, I learn all these cool, fun things, and then I can take them back to whatever my primary roles are. And
I think marketing as a whole, like if you're going to be a marketer, you've got to be really versatile.
Yeah.
Like you have to be. And every month, dude, what's funny? Video is like 15% of what I do.
Yeah, we've talked about
Look
this.
at this room. Look at this setup.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I rarely, like when I went out to do that shoot with the guys the other day, first of all, they asked, like, do you work with the other video company that works with you guys? They're like, do you work with it? I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have an agency myself. And I was like, it's funny, actually. I can't remember the last time I personally went out and did a shoot. Just me. Like, typically it's like my team guys. Because, like, I'm always on the back end on the computer doing all this other, I guess, marketing stuff, everything under that umbrella. It's nice to get back out there and do it. But yeah, so if you're going to be a marketer and a good one at that, I think you have to have at least a good understanding of all these different aspects. Like like video people, the difference between what makes a really good video person or video team versus, a subpar team, I think is understanding copywriting, understanding the psyche of people and what makes them want to take action and incite action or specific emotion. Like all those different things in order to actually make a successful video, and then how to distribute that video of all the different methods you can do.
Distribution is the name of the game these days. Like that just feels like that's what I've been working on.
Well, it's half the battle.
Yeah.
Now the other half is what you're putting in front of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which you are absolutely brilliant at, by the way. Love that. And obviously, we're all entrepreneurs at this table, and to talk to you a little bit about this, but maybe touch on like how you've seen this evolve, or how great you may think that Boise is as far as a hub for being an entrepreneur. Like, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I have my real estate spin. I don't even know if I mentioned that when you asked me to go, but like real estate, that's how I got started into all this whole world of self-employment and marketing and creative work. Like, I got my license, 8 years ago, something like that. And then that's kind of, how I started out in this world. And I still have my hand in the real estate world. I always will. I love real estate. I love houses. I love what it's done for me and what I've learned. And it's just been like such a life-changing industry to be in. But yeah, Boise. So if you look at it from a real estate perspective, Boise is still relatively inexpensive compared to Salt Lake, Portland, Seattle, these kind of bigger cities that are close to us.
Like Salt Lake's the worst right now, isn't it?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but it's still fairly inexpensive to live here. Our taxes are pretty favorable.
Yeah.
For new business owners, like there's just a lot of things that like lend this area to those bringing their tech businesses here, their entrepreneur businesses here. Like, and it's just, I'm biased. I've been working in this city for so long, but I think it's so supportive, and everybody wants to be working as a team. Like, how can I help you? Like, let's work together. Like, let's elevate this voice. And I don't know.
A lot of collaborations and everything.
A lot of
I would agree.
Biased.
It's a good city,
here,
I feel like.
But
we've got a good, like, young kind of, like, crowd, I feel like, too. That's just very vibrant as far as being an entrepreneur, like, in this area, for sure.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, so we're diving into this, and this is a question, actually, Charlie submitted in, which is really exciting. So,
shout out to Charlie.
I know.
It's Charlie. Oh, sorry. Charlie's behind the camera. He's our director. I wish you could see him. Let's take a photo right now.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so starting off, obviously doing this, and this is something that he says he asks Ridge all the time. What is something that you would have done differently based off of what you know now within the real estate or even Instagram game of what you're doing?
Okay, ask me again.
So what was something that you would have done differently based on what you know now?
I think start sooner.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's the one right there.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's
We're
the
done
one.
it. That's
Just
it.
start sooner.
That's it. Start sooner.
Yeah.
Like if I could go back, especially when you're younger, and I'm a little older than all of you in this room. Like I think I still came of age right at that before we had that shift of like my parents very much drilled in like you go to college, you get a W-2 job, you know, you pay off your student debt or whatever, like that kind of traditional path. Like I was still, that's how I was raised. And I was from rural Idaho, a really small town. And like, I felt like this creative entrepreneurial person at even very young age, but I just wasn't in an environment that was like conducive to that. And so it's scary, especially when you're young. Like you don't need to tell you guys, like it's scary to go out on your own or like to start your own business. And when you're younger, you don't really trust that voice so much.
Of course it's scary. That's the point. I mean, if it was easy and comfortable, everybody would do it.
Like, let's do this.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it's funny how it used to be the traditional go to school, get a job. That used to be the norm.
Yeah.
You know, a while
That
ago,
was the
last generation.
expectation.
I think it's cool how now it's quickly becoming not the norm. Like now it's like, okay, it still kind of is, but I see it within the next several years, that soon.
Yeah.
People going like, you're going to college?
I know.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, we're hoping, right?
I'm still team college. I'm a little old school.
I
like
love it.
I had a really wonderful experience going to college. You learn
for sure. Yeah.
You learn a lot more than just like whatever your degree. Like I don't think that's just the point. The point is to like learn how to learn and learn how to meet deadlines and learn how to write.
There's a bunch of pros.
Right, learn how to socialize, like you know all those other things.
I think it depends on
still
who you are and what you're studying. Like, how do you best learn? Because me personally, like I could not, like sitting in a classroom and learning was not my thing. I was like, I got to go out and figure it out and just fail a bunch of times and get smacked in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like take online courses.
And then did you feel bad when you were like trying to be that person?
Oh, I felt like,
school,
I was going to say, I felt like a letdown. Like, I was like,
you
not
felt, I
to
did.
what
I felt
to,
bad. Like, I felt really bad. It was like, I don't
living up to expectations.
Right. And I'm like, this isn't a fit for me. And I don't, and it should be. And anyway.
I think also some people, I think a lot of people, I was just talking with Charlie about this today before you guys got here. I think a lot of people will use that as an excuse when in fact they're just lazy. And they're like, oh, school's not for me, man. They get bad grades. Like, no, you're just lazy. But then there's some people that's like, I just don't learn in a school setting.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's be honest with yourself. Like, are you that person that just doesn't want to go to school because you just don't want to go to school and you don't want to work, you don't like that stuff? Or do you genuinely learn better by going out and doing it and figuring it out, you know?
Or is college really the right fit for you? Like, is that something where you're like, or I'm in the situation, obviously like money wise, right? But also like, is this something I just feel like I have to do because everyone's telling me to do it? You know, am I going to benefit from this? Am I going to get like this 4-year degree, get out and then end up working at a Starbucks, which actually was still a great company to work for, but you know what I mean? Not utilizing the degree. So I think it's definitely like situational, but like
why do you want to go to college? Because most people now, when I think I asked somebody this not too long ago, why do you want to go to college? And actually I've talked to a lot of people that say this, and the first response they gave me is because it's what my parents want. And I'm just like, well, do you want to go to college, and if so, why? Right? Do you actually want to go because you feel like it's going to be a good fit for you, or are you just going because that's what you think you should do and that's what people are telling you to do? So it's super subjective. Like, it depends who you are, what your goals are.
Your side.
It is
all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would go again. Like, I made the relationships.
I'll go today.
Yeah, the relationships that I made there and the life lessons that I learned, I'm like, they serve me well today. And I'm still involved with the University of Idaho. Like, I go to events with them, and
that's
I know we still have like, I'm part of the alumni association. I'm like a nerd.
You nerd.
I know. I am a nerd for school.
Question actually, and I'm genuinely curious, right?
Yes.
With what I don't know what you spent or what the tuition was. Do you think that tuition aligns with the value you got at school?
Oh man.
Or do you think it was like do you think it's overpriced? Like not
I
like
think it's wildly overpriced.
Okay, so you'd still pay for it and go, just you don't think the value.
But I'm sure even
adds
when
up.
I went 10 years ago, it's like I'm sure it's significantly more now, and like the textbooks and like all the other add-ons that they tack on. I mean, it's insane. And like we know student loans and student debt. I'm like, Biden, come on, let's get rid of these. I know he's working on it, and I'm like, let's do this. Like, you know, I just put a rental on the market recently, and I'm going through all my tenant applications, and I don't even care about student debt. Everybody has astronomical student debt, and I'm like, I am never going to hold that against you. Like, good for you. You're going to school. Like, but, you know, mortgage applications don't feel that way. And anyway, it's tough. The financing part, I wish it were accessible to a lot more people. And I wish that, like, you know, the value of like going to just like a state school for 2 years or like an associate's, like you don't have to go to the top school and pay bazooka. Like you probably will get an inferior education anyway.
Yeah.
At those bigger schools because the student to teacher ratios are not great.
Yeah.
Like, but
is Biden still working on trying to get
I'm so out of the loop.
Yes.
That stuff?
Yes.
Okay, not to go down a rabbit hole. How would he do that? Like, where'd that money come from?
I don't know.
Or
I don't
would
know
it?
the details, but I
That'd
know
be
that forgiving
wild.
student debt is like kind of back on the radar. I mean, I think he's a little busy with Russia at the moment, but
A little bit.
yeah.
I'd be curious to know like where the money would come from to pay all that off, and then over the course of time, who would eventually pay that back? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's got to come from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't just say.
I don't know. I
get
have
rid
to
of
check
it.
in with Bernie. I know he has the answers
You're
to
like,
the
hold
queries
on.
that you seek. He does. He's got it all worked out.
I love that.
But yeah, starting sooner. Like just to like wrap up on that point. Like when
Yeah.
I first met you, and I'm like, you know, how old are you? You're like, I'm 23, and I'm like,
Or
look
wait,
at what you're
24
doing
now.
24.
now.
That's right. You just had a
24, but it was
birthday.
23, but now he's
It was
24,
23,
which
yeah.
is crazy. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, to have all of this and be doing what you're doing and be at the level, it's just like so cool to me because I'm like, imagine where he's gonna be when he's 33. Like,
Yeah.
it's so wild, and it makes me like in my heart place, like I'm like, if I could have started when I was 23. Like, I don't even think I got my real estate license until I was like, I don't know, late 20s, maybe even 30. Like, you know.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. At the same time, though, like everybody's on their own timeline. I
It's
really
true.
think
you can't go back.
'cause I hear people say that all the time. They're like, man, if I could only have done it when you. I was like,
Right.
but dude,
Yeah.
A, you didn't. But B, everybody's on their own timeline, right? Like,
didn't.
just keep going. Just keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't let it like hurdle you. But I agree. Like I went to go speak to some like high school students that were not going to go to college, but they wanted to know like other options. And I came in to kind of speak about what I do. And I was like, man. And I just looked at all of them and I'm like, just go out and do it. Like you guys have every like tool and everything at your fingertips that like I felt like I didn't, but it's also no excuse. Obviously, like we could have started younger, but I didn't. And I'm like, do it now.
Right,
You know? And
right.
so, but it is, you're absolutely right. Just like keep going. At least we're doing it now.
And when it's
So-
Gary Vee is always like, I was like 40 or whatever,
Yeah.
30 when I
Yeah.
started my wine business or whatever.
And he
like,
always says, he's like, dude, I'm still getting started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
I
like
know
that
people that are
mindset.
killing it twice my age, but like,
Yeah.
it's all relative,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. It is all relative.
But props to you, by the way, for doing that. 24 too. Happy late birthday.
Well, thank you.
I love that.
Thanks.
So this we haven't asked yet, but I think it would be really cool because I want to bring like more value as well. Not that this isn't a lot of value, but what are like some tools, apps, websites, peoples that you've actually utilized that you've like maybe even outsourced to like help you in your business? Because I know it's hard as an entrepreneur to do it all yourself.
It's
like
hard.
Something
For sure. It's
Yeah.
also hard to outsource. Like, I'm probably the wrong person to ask this question
hate
because
outsourcing,
I don't love outsourcing is really hard. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to find good talent. You have, the amount of time you get in that pickle where you're like, the amount of time it takes me to train someone, find the
Yeah.
app, load it up. Like I could just do it myself and a lot quicker, which I know is like
Yeah.
a bottleneck, but it's a reality. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to spend all this time, but
Dude, I wish I could have the people that you have. Like,
yeah.
I've been looking
That's
for people
so-
for the past I don't know how many months. It's
A
like
lot of
when I
people
found
are.
out that you have that many people on your team helping you out,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, if I could have that, I've got one dude. I just hired somebody in New Zealand, but I'm
Oh,
like,
how exciting.
Yeah.
I'm like,
the
bro, I
talent
have a-
market right now is
Yeah.
absolutely dry. Like if you're
Yeah.
trying to find work or level
Yeah.
up in your role, like now is the time to go out and pitch yourself and like ask
Yeah.
for more money. Like every
Yeah.
employer I know is like,
because guess what? There's no traffic jam in the extra mile, and
Yeah.
nobody's
Yeah.
going the extra mile right
That's
now.
so cute.
Yeah.
So
I
if
love
you
that.
separate yourself, especially like right now, what's
Yeah.
going on, it's game over.
Or just ask,
but
like you said. I mean, it's so true.
I do think
you
it's
know?
a mix. I will say, like,
Mm-hmm.
set my ego aside real quick. Like, the talent is definitely lot thinner than it used to be.
It is.
I do think it's also a mix of like my perfectionist and being like, this person I don't like this or what they do, so I'm not even gonna consider them. And I had a talk with a couple of my mentors, and they're like, bro, you just got to pick someone that covers the big check boxes, and then mention them as much as you have to, and then just run with them. And I was like, okay. But like, I'm such a, and what's hard too is people are coming to me because of my work, like what I've done. You can't grow. There's only one of me. I can't scale a company.
Right.
So in order to like take standards, make them as tangible as possible, which is hard to do with a subjective space like video.
Yeah,
you know,
very creative.
be able to properly separate, like, this is why people come to me, us. This is what makes us different and how our videos are so different. And this is how you have to hold up that standard. That's probably the most difficult thing about building a business.
Yeah.
If I were to say
that
the
managerial
hardest thing,
side,
it's leading and setting a standard that everybody else can keep up with. I think that's the most difficult part. It's not dealing with clients, not providing a good service.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but I think that's the most difficult part of it.
We talked about this in one of my coaching calls, and he was saying that, like, Austin was basically saying, like, his company, he's like, this is the way we do it. He calls it's the brand-tegic way, which is really cool. And I was like, I like that. Although my company is a mouthful, but, you know, it's like, it's the Ridge Cait way of, like, this is how we do it. These are the expectations we set. But you're absolutely right. And I just got really lucky that there's a lot of creativity on the side of what I do. But for yours, there's a lot of, like, obviously way more creative of having to go through and edit and do those videos. And poor Charlie has to listen to me nitpick like crazy. But yeah, it's definitely difficult to find people for sure.
We just recently started with the new guy that I brought on. We just recently started, like, we had a 2.5 hour long workshop session where, like, I said, hey, it's been really subjective so far, and I'm like, hey, see these videos, this is what we're doing, do that, you know what I mean? And so we laid out on a whiteboard, here are examples of, here are the different aspects of filmmaking, from composition to timing to overall storytelling to, like, coloring to whatever, you name it. And then, like, we go within each individual solo subject to figure out what makes what's the difference between below standard and industry standard and Ridge Cait film standard, and then show examples of that, like going in depth, and then laying out a course of time. 3 months, you have this is where you're at right now on the chart, and this is where we need to get to. You got 3 months to get to that point. This is what you're going to do, like making it super specific and in depth, which I think is going to be really good and make a lot more sense, because I just haven't put in the time for it because I just didn't really know what to do. But I think now we're on a good track, so hopefully things take off a lot faster. But that's been my bottleneck recently, is like getting people. Honestly, like, I've been my own bottleneck.
We always are. We always get in our own way. We're our own worst enemies. It's like it's just hard. We get territorial and weird. But do you mean apps like social media wise?
Well, let's touch on that too. So I think that's good, because I
want to make sure I answer your question.
No, and you did great. And it's kind of a long-winded one. I get excited. So basically, that was great as far as like outsourcing. But if there's something else, even as a tool that maybe you've utilized, whether it could be an app, a website, or whatever that has helped you in your business, something that you might even recommend, and it doesn't have to be strictly social media. It could be something else. But
yeah, for social media, I mean, I tell clients like this, or consults or whatever, like, having a feed planner app is really helpful. I don't care which one you use, but have somewhere that you can organize your content, leave notes for yourself. Like, that consistency is so important in social media. Like, that the more you can plan out, not even plan out in advance, but just like have a hub where you can always see what's going on, and you can move pieces around like a puzzle. That just like helps stay organized. I'm like thinking about, like, what are my business apps on my phone? And I'm like, QuickBooks is my life. Huge. Like, I did tax time. So I just went through and like did all my taxes, like QuickBooks. I've used that forever. I use Dropbox, like just kind of like the basic stuff to organize your
Milanote.
Oh, what is
Milanote? If you're a creative, like if you're a marketing, but you have emphasis on creative, like video, content production, creation, Milanote. Oh my gosh. I've used Trello. I've used Monday. I've used
Trello.
everything.
I still use Trello, which I think is like a little older school.
It is a little bit. Milanote stomps on Trello. Like, it makes me look at Trello and go, I love Milanote.
Yeah.
It's so nice. All I can say is look into it. If you're a marketer and you have an emphasis on creative, Milanote is what you need.
Go on that.
Look into that. I love it so much. Like, everything, that's our home base. Everything is on Milanote, from our brand guides, our planning. Each client has their own specific Milanote. I share the board with them. They can track all of it. You can do everything.
When I was like first coming up, Trello was like the new hotness.
Yeah.
So that's what
I get told Trello a lot.
Because that's at the time that was like the thing, like that everybody. And so it's like I've learned it and I still use it, but
I heard, and it's pretty massive, like within real estate too. Like it really helps on that front. So I'm a big Notion person, but it's still, I think
the learning curve too, Milanote, by the way, there's no learning curve. You look at it and you just know what to do. It's
like,
very easy and simplistic.
I think the key is just like use something. Like, I don't care what you use, but use something to plan your calendar. Whatever it is, use an app like a task manager, like use a few, like just use something, like find like 4 tools and just use them consistently.
Yeah. And that'll help tremendously. Stepping away from that, what is something that you may have learned or like a really big mistake that you learned from throughout your social media career?
Throughout my social media?
Yeah.
Mistake?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or it could be like a fail. It could be a thing that you're just like, ooh, okay.
Man, I've
and
got
like
some
pivot.
stories.
Because I just think that it's like important because I think, well, number one, obviously social media can really be like a, hey, glorified, I'm awesome kind of thing. But I think it's good to showcase that like we're human and then we totally fail. We make mistakes.
I mean,
and I'm just curious if you have one that like sticks out or.
Because one of the like mantras is like done is better than perfect.
True.
I really like that. Like I have typos all the time in my captions or whatever. And like people call it out every now and then, not very often, but it's
That's
like
engagement, baby.
Right. And I'm just like, whatever. Like I'm a human person. Like, I don't know. I try to be pretty like, this is especially now at this point with the Toby and Boise page, I'm like, this is my page.
Yeah.
I'm 35. I don't care.
Like,
if you don't like what I'm posting, like you're free to say sayonara, but there's such freedom in that. And like when I first started that page, I was, I think, a lot more locked up because I was doing it for real estate. So you're like, I don't want to, it's like puppies and kittens. I don't want to make anybody mad. But then I also wasn't giving very much for people to gravitate to. If I don't tell you anything about who I am, how are you supposed to find things that resonate where you're like, oh, I like that thing too, like, or I feel that way too. And then that's how you create this like really strong community of like, we are in alignment. Like the people that follow me and engage with me, like they like me, whatever it is, like business or I don't know. And it's like across the board too. Like people that you see trends in your own engagement, I'm sure, where it's like you have the same people, like they always like the dog stuff. Like they love the dogs. They're all about it.
Good old whiskey.
Right. I know my old man. And then like people that love the real estate and they engage with that. And then, whatever, the mom stuff, like, but that's, I don't know, whatever you're putting out into the world, like got to give something to grab back. But
I love that.
I don't know. My biggest business mistake was I had dropped a bunch of money in an endeavor that was like totally whimsical. And I think a lot of agents fall into this. Like commission checks are pretty big. You know, when you sell a house, it's a lot of money. And when you're new to that, you're just like, oh, I can just cut this fat check like it's nothing. And, I have that ADHD brain where I'm like, ooh, I love this. And like, ooh, I love this. And anyway, so I sold a house. I got a big check and I immediately turned around and I cut it into an investment, like a new business endeavor that I didn't take the time to research. And I just didn't take the time at all to consider, like, is this a good fit for me?
Yeah.
Is this really what I want? I was moving so fast. This is like right when the pandemic hit. And for me, the pandemic was such a great thing in the sense of like, it forced me to hard stop. And I was like running, like booking it. And I didn't even know where I was going or why. It was just like the next appointment and the next thing. And it was chaos. Like, and so I lost a lot of money on this thing. I wrote the check and ended up totally blowing up in my face, like very quickly. It was like an immediate, like this was a mistake.
Oh, like right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And it was like, you're not going to recoup that money. And, I think that was the lesson I learned was like, slow down a little bit. Like,
cool it.
Yeah. Cause like find your chill, like, but that being said, and I know that's a big fear for a lot of people that are like, want to be self-employed or entrepreneurs, like you are going to mess up.
Yeah.
You are going to lose some money. Probably like for me, it was a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of business and making money, choosing where I make it, where I spend it, it's been a drop in the bucket for me financially in the long term,
of what you've done.
And it was an expensive mistake.
Yeah.
But whatever, I've lived and I've learned and I've certainly profited far more than I lost, and I'll take the hits and I'll keep going and
that's good. That's
you
good
still
to
have to
talk
play
about.
the game.
Yeah.
So would you say the lesson then is don't be afraid to fail?
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. Like, especially when you're talking about like real estate investing, like anybody that's been an investor for any amount of time, like you're gonna lose some money. Like that's just part of it. You're not gonna win 100% of the time in whatever you're doing, but you take the licks, you take your lessons, and you just kind of keep going.
Perfect. So we touched a little bit previously on like social media and connecting with your audience, right? And I think that's super big. So maybe like let's talk on that. And obviously it's something that like Ridge and I are really passionate about too, is like telling that story, connecting with your audience, posting, showing up daily. Like talk about that. Let's talk about like your social media.
They're very fearful. And I understand why, to be fair. Like I've had a lot of one-on-one consulting meetings with people that they want to grow their social media presence, and they're afraid. Like cancel culture is a thing. Like nobody wants to be perceived in a negative light, but I don't know how to like sugarcoat, like you have to put something out there that's unique to you, and not everybody is going to like you, and that's okay, because the people that do like you will really, really like you ideally and feel like really connected to you. And there's a lot of vulnerability that is required and consistency. And I know it's hard, and I know that it's easier said than done, but it's like if you're truly not comfortable putting some authentic pieces of yourself on the internet, this isn't an avenue for you.
Oh, that's good.
Find a different way to market yourself. There are a lot of ways, like, you know, I think people glamorize social media and like that it's this huge money maker, and it's like, yeah, it can be, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you really have to be committed, like anything, like write a blog.
Yeah.
And you can do social media, and you can write nothing. You can do your whole account in strictly graphic posts, quote posts. And quite frankly, those accounts do really well.
They do.
There's not one way. Like, you don't have to be an influencer to be successful, like to get the metrics that you want. Like, but if you do want to do that influencer side, I don't know. I'm like, find a different avenue if you're truly not comfortable with that, because it is sort of a requirement, in my opinion.
Man, I hate the word influencer.
What?
Embrace it.
I think we've gotten to the point.
It's like entrepreneur. I hate the word entrepreneur now. Not the word itself, but because it's so overused.
Okay.
That's why everybody's an entrepreneur nowadays.
Influencer. I'm like, no, we're getting past the fact that influencer has a negative connotation with it.
It's a kind of,
But I will say, okay. So I see what you're saying. You're like overused. Yeah.
Because, and like entrepreneur, same thing. Everybody I meet, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, dude, if you call yourself an entrepreneur, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, I love you.
Yeah. If you, like, when people ask me, what do I do? Dude, I don't know if you know or not. If you ask anybody, I'm just like, I make videos. Like,
I make videos.
And then they're like, who do you work for? And I'm like, well, I guess technically myself, right? But I don't go out saying like, I'm an entrepreneur, you know? Because like, dude, when somebody tells me they're an entrepreneur, I kind of just go. Okay, same thing with influencers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's very subjective and up to interpretation. People are like, I'm an influencer. It's like, who do you influence, and what are you influencing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, where it goes. Nope, I agree. I can see on that. And I think like it worked. It took me forever personally to be like, ooh, I'm an influencer, because I kept being like I just kept thinking it was like such a bad thing. Yeah. And then I'm like, no, I'm embracing this. Like I'm an influencer.
Whatever. And the people that don't get it, don't get it.
You know what you're influencing, or what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, right? You're not posting photos of yourself and that's it. And saying I'm an influencer, right? There's actually substance behind it. There is substance, that's different.
Yeah. I agree. And what did you feel on that? Sorry, you were saying it and we cut you off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now I totally have lost track entirely.
No, that's okay. Well, we both have,
You're going to have to circle me back.
Right? Bring it back.
The ADHD and the mom brain combination is like, good luck.
You're like,
a tornado.
Yeah, I'm like, you're going to have to ask me 17 times.
No, I love that.
How did you two initially meet? Did you talk about that?
Oh, I'm so excited that you brought this up. I've been sitting on this little Easter egg the whole time.
Start to rock and roll, sister. Yes.
I remember clear as day the first time that I met Caitlin in person. I don't know if you remember. I do.
Now I'm like, oh my gosh, bring it back.
No. I
want to know.
This was a long time ago.
Okay.
Like, I was working for Tiger Prop.
I hope I didn't embarrass myself.
No, you're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Oh. So we I don't know if you were, I don't even know if you were doing influencer. I think you were. I think you were doing influencer stuff even at that time. This was a long time ago. I was working for Tiger Prop. You were working for Next Title. Okay. And we were both downtown. And I knew who you were because I'd seen you on social media. And especially at that time,
it works.
Nobody was doing it. When both you and I think got started, like on Instagram specifically, like influencer wasn't even a word at that time.
No. And also going back to like old videos and stuff, like people weren't doing those. Yeah.
No. So I knew who you were from social media right away at that time. And then we were at an event. I don't remember where. I think this was even like pre-jump. Like we were somewhere downtown.
Oh, I love it.
Pre-jump.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the old school. Somewhere downtown at some event. I don't know if it was like, it was a real estate specific like conference or like whatever, happy hour or something of that sort.
Nature.
And I saw you in the room and I knew who you were, but I didn't say anything because I was like, oh, I think I know her. You know that feeling. Yeah, right.
Yep.
And so I was there with my boss and this other random dude. But as we were leaving, I was like headed out the door and you were like, are you Toby in Boise? And that was the first, I swear, that was the first time that had ever happened to me out in the community where someone knew who I was and was like, specifically was like, are you Toby in Boise?
Oh, I love it.
I know.
They didn't even use your name. They used your
my handle. Right.
Yes.
Like that's
First time that happens, you're just like, oh, what?
That's my name. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was, I swear it was the first time. And
oh, cool.
you were like, I know who you are. You like pulled me aside. You were like talking to people and I was out the door and you were like, I know you.
Come
like,
back.
Are you Toby? I know. And I was like, yeah, I am. And you were like, oh, I'm Caitlin. I think even at that time you were like teaching social media with this title.
Yeah.
You were like already in that world. And you're like, I show your feed to people when I'm teaching.
Wow. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I know. And I was like, oh my God.
Because I've always been a fan of your captions. Like, you're just so good. I mean, obviously the content's great. Like, it really is. But the captions, man.
Wait, important
wicked.
question. What was her hair color then?
It was short and it was dark brown.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
I remember.
Yep,
Okay.
I
yep, yep.
remember. It's
Dang.
burned into my brain. It's
Yep,
like one of
yep.
those memories when I'm like, I won't ever forget when I first
The
met
first
Caitlin.
round
Her
of brown.
seasonal hairstyle.
Yes, at that time. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that was when we first met in person. And
Yeah.
I was just, and you were just so, as you are, so sweet
thank you.
and so genuine and like just so fun.
Appreciate that.
It's like, how can you not want to just hang out and be friends? And
I am forceful
Anyway.
to make people my friends
Yes.
all the time.
Yeah.
People can't not be my friends.
yeah, I know, but I love that. It was
love
so
it.
sweet. It made me feel so
Oh.
cute and seen, and it was such a positive first interaction. And like, I'm gonna go on this whole like tangent now that we've like, because I wanted to like share this on this
thank
podcast,
you.
but like, we've been, obviously we're very similar in what we have done in certain aspects professionally. And I don't know about what your experience has been, but like over the years, like people kind of like trying to like pitch us against each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Right. Where they're like,
100%.
oh, well, Caitlin does this, or like, did you hear this about her? And what they don't know, I'm like, I know Caitlin and I've always had a good relationship with her.
Always talked forever.
We've always talked and like
Forever on social media.
Right. And
Yeah.
people don't know that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I just have always really I cherish our relationship
Thank
professionally.
you. Same.
Like that have always been friendly. And I think that's how it should be. And I get
Yeah.
so annoyed when it's like pitch against each other. Like there's only room
Yeah.
for one, like that type
Or like
of
this
thing.
is like the guru who does this. And I'll say even like in your realm, like there's so many. You know what I mean? There's so many different people. Not that
Are they?
I was gonna say
I
that
don't know
aren't
anyone
no,
that-
I was gonna say that's not at his level, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that like do like videos and stuff, and whenever
Yeah.
they're like, well, this person did this and that, and I'm like, I have nothing but great things to say about all of them. I'm like, you know, I like this person, I think they're fantastic, but like to go and be like, well, this person does this, and it's like, okay, cool, like that's great,
Right.
You know, like, but there isn't really room for it. So, but
Yeah.
you are really like freaking badass in our community. Like I wouldn't be able to put you up next to somebody, but I'm just saying like in that realm, there's just also a lot of other like talent around us.
There's
but it's
room
not
for
to say
everybody.
like,
And you need to lean on
yeah.
your community. Like
Yeah.
I've always appreciated that anytime I have a business question or social media question, I always ask you, and you're going to tell me you never hold back anything when you give me advice. And I try to do the same because I'm like, we're alone, like entrepreneurs, creatives. It's such a lonely business. It is. It's like, I don't have an office of people around me that understand what I do and respect it. So it's like, you have to collaborate to grow.
Yeah.
You know, the most successful people in a community are the ones that don't have competitors.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean by that?
That's a really good way. Yep.
In the sense
I don't
of
know what
like,
you mean
don't
by that.
treat them as competitors. I have a lot of competitors, right?
Yeah.
But they're all my friends.
Do you?
I
But listen.
Who are they?
Yes.
People that like do like offer a similar service, right? I'm friends with all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Same.
of them. Like if you can think about it, I'm like, yeah, I know we're homies. We hang out like every weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need space. There's so many other social media management companies,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, no, they're wonderful. Like I know
I've
them.
referred
You know,
my,
I'm like, cool.
I've
I don't
referred
feel
my
that way.
quote unquote competitors to other people. Like
Yeah.
people come to me and I'll be like, and if I just can't work with them, I don't have the time,
Yeah.
or somebody else is better for your budget. I'm like, reach out to this person. Like
Yeah.
they offer the same thing.
I
you know
quite
what I mean?
frankly was so relieved and happy when Cait started her agency because I was getting bombarded with a lot of requests and I just knew that wasn't for me. Like I just like I was like, I did consulting, like I dipped my toe in and I would do one-on-ones and I would teach classes, but I didn't want to do what what you were doing, where it was like the agency route. So when you started it, I was like, okay, everyone,
I'm out.
here you go. Like, here's
Yeah.
this wonderfully talented person who can take on all of your needs and, you know.
No, I'm excited. Really well. This is, And I think it's great because we do have like this community, like you're saying, like your like competitors or people that are in the same field, like we're buddies with them, you know, or even if we aren't, like at least we're like around them and we're not like, I don't know, it's not negative. I think everyone here is like pretty good about it. Yeah. So
you can tell by if you meet somebody that's a competitor or know of somebody that either talks crap about you or is one of your friend or is a little standoffish, it's safe to assume that they might not make it very far because like, dude, you better be supporting everybody in the same space as you. That's my opinion and philosophy. Like, 100%.
Or just, I was going to say, like, just surrounding yourself with the ones who are like, okay, like, I'm going to collaborate with these people.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know about everybody, but...
Toby's like, listen.
I'm like, I'm going to be a little more selective. I'm not going to champion everyone. Because it's, that's like the referral business, too. Like, you know, my name, if I refer somebody to Caitlin, that's my name. I'm sticking my neck out. Like, you know, so I'm not going to, I don't want to refer people. Where it's like, if I'm not 100% confident or as confident as I can be, that it's like, no, they're going to, because it's a reflection of me.
That's so Boise,
of course, you
too.
have to refer them. Just be friends with them, though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
or
that's so
least,
Boise.
You know.
Just that, like, that niche and, like, loving on each other. So a couple more questions.
Okay.
So what would you say is, like, the biggest opportunity that Instagram or social media has brought to you?
Literally everything.
All of it.
It has changed my life.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I know that Instagram has its problems anymore, but I mean, there is nothing bad, in my opinion, that can come from creating a presence on social media. I don't see a downside. Yeah, I see, like, I don't know, the pain points and maybe you're nervous or like, but I mean, everything, every door that is open for me, I think is a direct result. It's a really powerful way. Like, we learn this in real estate. Like, you know, what do you do in real estate? You call people, you send a text message, or you make a post on social media, and now you touch, 3,000 people or however many people follow you. Like, I don't know of a more massive way, I guess, to communicate with your community. Like, it's so, and putting yourself out there, people know, they come up to me and they know me. Like, they know me. They're like, they feel like they know me and they feel connected to me and they feel like they trust me.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wild feeling.
It is weird.
Somebody walk up to you and like act like they know you. You're like, I don't know who you are, but that's awesome.
Right? But yes, but then your work speaks for yourself, from what you've posted and what you've done, they can kind of get the image.
That's great too. Like,
and you nurture the relationship, like, because that's I guess probably one of the biggest door openers for me of like, oh, I know Toby, like, here's this house or here's this person, like, you have to meet her, like, they all feel so connected. You have so many people that feel like they're so connected to who you are that your network just expands. And I mean, it's like any door you want will open. It's pretty wild. Like, I'm so glad that I've created the presence there that I've had, and it's blown my mind. I never would have thought ever, and I really do credit, I mean, quite frankly, almost all of the success that I've had to starting that community and like being present on social media.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's a game changer.
It definitely is. And then I know Ridge will probably wrap it up, but I'm just curious real quick to touch on TikTok a little bit.
Oh, God.
I'm curious. Because I know you've kind of dabbled and stuff into it, and like just take your thoughts on it real quick.
No, I don't want to talk about my TikTok at all.
Oh, God.
No.
You have TikTok?
No. See, this is what I don't want to happen. I'm like, no. Don't follow me. I have like 5 people from Toby and Boise that follow me on TikTok. And I'm like, no, this is my creative hub where I can do all this stupid stuff. And that's what TikTok is for.
I was going to say, it is like, it's funny because people talk about it when people find your TikTok and everyone's like, oh God, my boss found my TikTok.
I know.
Kind of
I'm like, dude, my TikTok?
I need to make it a ghost TikTok or something.
My TikTok is motorcycle stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I got one video that got 350,000 views.
Nice.
And I gained 10,000 followers in like a week.
Oh my
gosh. And then this one's got 20,000. This one's got 12,000. Like, it's crazy how much traction you can get on TikTok from stupid little videos.
True.
Yeah, the TikTok algorithm is powerful.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
And Instagram is big mad.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
They're trying to hop on it
Oh,
with the
they
reels.
want that algorithm. Have you guys noticed when you're scrolling, it's like suggested post?
Yeah.
You like
They're
this.
quick,
So I'm like, they want
Instagram's
that algorithm.
It's really taking over the feeds like pretty aggressively.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm not going to ever go away from my stagnant posts, but I will definitely have more reels. So
single image posts till I die.
Right. Forever. Well, Ridge, why don't we wrap it up? Do you have any other burning questions or anything you want to ask Toby before we end this?
If you could, let's say, I want to ask a similar question, not the same one that I asked you that one time. Remember the first one we did where I was like, if you could leave the viewers watching this with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yes.
Actually, I'd probably just ask the same question to you. So the viewers are, let's give the example of not real estate agent. Let's say anybody that's maybe younger, has a passion for starting some kind of a business, but is too afraid to take that leap, or just might not really know what to do. Maybe it's a combination of both. What piece of advice would you give them?
Find mentors. Find people that are doing what you want to be doing. Add value to those mentors. Like the people that are really killing it in whatever industry you're in, like, you know, they get a lot of inquiries, right? They have a lot of people that want to work with them and pick their brain. Like, so add value in some way, like whatever way that is. Like people that are just starting out tend to have the resource of time more so than people that are maybe a little farther along in their careers. Like, so maybe things that are more time consumptive, like, but yeah, try your best to get into those circles. And that's how you get into those circles, I guess. Is like, what do you bring something to the table that is maybe of use to a mentor, but really try to find someone who's doing the things that you want to do and doing them well and in a way that is in alignment with your integrity. Like I found a mentor right out of the gate that, I mean, creatively speaking, taught me everything about real estate and how to be true to yourself and like how to make your authentic self financially well-being for you, I guess. Like to make it work for you. Like, no, that's actually really valuable. And you can be weird and you can be different and like, you can still make a lot of money and like do well for yourself. Yeah. Find a mentor.
As simple as that. Find a mentor, add value, get value.
Yeah. Love it.
That's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Toby.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks
you,
so much
Toby.
for
Cheers
having
again,
me.
guys.
Thank you, Push 'em Forward.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
Logo right
Love
there.
it.
All right. That was episode. We'll have it down
I wanna
somewhere.
put it in
an episode.
We've done so many recently. That was an episode with Toby.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Thank you.